The COVID-19 pandemic is taking a toll on the economy and our families. Unfortunately, the financial hardship could continue well into the rest of the year. That's why we're helping you navigate the resources out there with a new segment we like to call Help Wanted Wednesdays. Whitney Traylor is our 9 News legal analyst with expertise, specialty in employment law, and also an associate professor at MSU Denver. Good morning, Whitney. Thanks for joining me.
Sure. Good morning, Natasha.
So we're getting a lot of questions about benefits running out. Is there a way to get an extension?
There is. Normally, unemployment benefits run for 26 weeks as long as the employee remains eligible. But under the Federal CARES Act, there's been an additional 13 weeks of unemployment that's for the time period between March 29th and December 26th. And applicants don't need to do anything additional to get those funds. However, there is obviously an additional unemployment under the pandemic unemployment assistance for gig workers and self-employed. Either way, to initiate both of those claims, you can start on the Colorado Department of Labor's website under the link Start a Claim.
Whitney, we're getting a lot of questions about deadlines. Are there any coming up that we need to know about?
Not necessarily, but applicants should file online as soon as possible after becoming unemployed. However, those benefits, once they are actually granted, will be backdated to the date the employee is first unemployed, as long as they remain eligible. Once they do start that application process and become eligible, there are requirements for ongoing payments. So the claimant should be very careful to make sure that they're complying with all of those deadlines.
All right, Whitney Traylor with our Help Wanted Wednesday segment. Whitney, thank you.
Sure thing. Good to see you.